I am Messi Bokor. It's a beautiful Monday morning, if I'm very correct, and it feels really good to be back in your screen again.
Yes, Messi, how was your weekend? How did you spend it? I trust you had a
So why I
relaxed
just feel
time.
like you're just doing this for, formality's sake. You already know I was here yesterday and we
Yeah,
saw.
you know how it is. On Friday I was dancing that yeah, and thank God it's Friday. I was looking forward to the weekend and I had just Saturday to rest. I was like happy and all of that. Then today again, when you reminded that you had to work on Sunday, I don't know. So which do I prefer? Do I want to work on Saturday or do I want to work on Sunday? I don't know to work Saturday or Sunday, Messi. I just want to just rest.
Okay, so I feel like the HR should be paying attention to this now. And every other person should be paying attention. Justin doesn't want to work on Saturday and Sunday. But for me, it was just a bit of, Friday getting off. And usually the feeling for Friday is
You went
like,
partying.
you're out of the world. Say again?
You went partying.
No, can I afford to party? I
Yes,
can't.
look
I
at your hair
can't.
alone.
No, that's not the point. That's not the point I'm making. I'm just saying, you're so tired that you just want to sleep.
True, true.
And so it was a combination of rest and then walk and a little bit of fun. So that's it. And then we're back here again.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the things that are trending or that trended them over the weekend. Kaduna was in the news over the weekend, and I felt it was really very alarming. It was almost like a terrorist hijack. So-called bandits, attacking an airport. Mercy, if the bandits, had all the leeway to just enter the airport with all of the security, I don't know, went to the tarmac and how possible, is that really? How could they just enter the airport and attack an airport as secure, supposedly secure, as an airport should be? And when I read about that, I was like, where are we really headed in this country? Although Kaduna has been in the news for a long time when it comes to insecurity, bandit attacks, and highway robberies and all of that. But for an airport to be attacked by so-called bandits, I think we should just call them what it is. I would say the airport was actually attacked by terrorists.
So, which is actually a valid point that you have raised because it's called a lot of Nigerians. First of all, I mean, it's made a lot of people react in that direction, at the airport. I mean, I haven't been to when this information was put out because I was following, I was on top of the situation. When I saw the news at first, there were a lot of disclaimers. Some people said it was fake news up until on the 26th. Today's the 28th. So you have, I'll quickly just run through, this update that was put out by the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, saying that it was a press release that was put out and it says update on bandit attack Kaduna Airport. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria regrets to state that a group of bandits attacked the runway axis of Kaduna Airport earlier this day, and you have, however, a combined team. I don't know if that's a continuation, but I'll just read it. However, a combined team of anti-banditry military personnel and criminal investigation unit of Aviation Security Department swiftly intervened for rescue operation with one casualty reported in the incident. I mean, so it therefore means that someone was actually killed. Very sad. I mean, it's not something that we should smile about, but this is not good at all for us. Now, it says normalcy has since been restored at the airport, and the team has also recovered motorbikes abandoned by the bandits. Additional heavy reinforcement team from the Nigerian Defense Academy is on ground to ensure safety and security of the airport workers and users as well. Now, this is actually an update that was put out by, FAN on the 26th of March, and so 27, 28. So, you know what we're talking about now. But it constantly brings us to everything that we keep talking about. And so we feel it's a joke. Security is very important. We have seen how, it's not just a one-man's business. It's affecting everybody. And it's the audacity. There's so much guts right here. Like I said before, this is ridiculing our security status as a country. And we need to step up the game. The president, the governors, everybody, all hands must be on deck. But if we call this group of persons bandit, I mean, look at the fact that they recovered motorbikes. That means that you understand the means of transportation that these persons actually use. I think that we've been very careless about the issue of security and securing the lives of Nigerians.
We are not putting, our money where our mouth is, because the truth is that if we actually took security very seriously, so it should really be secure and
So you talked about the fact that we're not putting our money where our mouth should be. I mean, so you're saying that, money might probably be an issue. Maybe we're not spending enough in terms of it. That necessarily is a point, to some extent. But the issue here is the people who have been carrying this attack. We have called them bandits. That's the tag.
Maybe we
But
don't
if
even
you
have
see,
the body
no,
language
but
to
if you
want
begin to see the
stem
activities
this in
of
the
this
bud.
group of persons, how do you? This is a pure, terror
It's a
attack.
terrorist attack.
It's a pure
sheer
terror
act of
attack.
terrorism.
And how have we acted as a government
And not
towards
just to tell
this
us
group
that the
of
situation
persons?
has been brought under control by a fan. What are you going to...
You see the carelessness in it. First of all, the fact that we constantly call this group of persons bandit. If you look at the operations, who do you call a terrorist? I mean, it's really sad, but we have to wake up to the fact and understand that, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 14, so we need to, put our foots down. It's gradually unbecoming. And, we're just joking with it. And one day it becomes a menace for us. Now we're talking about bandits having the guts, to step into an international airport. But we need to move away because we have other trending topics.
Because if we just keep on talking about it, you'll just keep on sounding like a broken record because it's the same issues that we keep on having and talking about all the time. But also in the news, something that'll put a bit of smile to my face at least, when I don't have to bother about security. Patrice Evra, he was at Oshodi Isale, right? Mercy, do you know Oshodi Isale?
I think.
Mercy, where's Oshodi Isale? Mercy, you only know the island. Let me not even start with you. The ex-Manchester United.
Justin, don't come at me this morning. Oshodi is where Oshodi is.
Excuse me. He was in Lagos and he visited Oshodi Underbridge, the popular Oshodi Underbridge, or Oshodi Isale in the local parlance. And he played chess with children. It was all smiles. Mercy, he was at Oshodi Isale.
So why do you make it look like, we just had it?
No, Oshodi is,
no, it's fantastic. Okay, but calm down now.
Okay,
I understand.
I'm calm.
I understand Patrice.
Evra.
He was in Nigeria. It's a great one. But let's not forget that it's associated with the chess to slums, and that's a good innovation. That's a good one that's been ongoing for us in Nigeria and in Lagos. I think it's been putting up, but most importantly is what happens to the children. I mean, the kids, the children in this particular time.
Yes.
And I like the fact that, when I saw the videos actually popping up and I saw the pictures, there was a little bit of a blend. He could blend into the system. You could see him. I mean, he could pass for a Nigerian. You never can tell until you're being told that that's Patrice. Yeah. And so, yes, that's a beautiful one. Great story to see.
It is, like you said, it is very, very inspiring.
We're having, big stars. We're having great persons coming to inspire these children to ensure that, let them know that they can be anything they want to become.
And their life is not just about the slums.
Exactly.
And they can actually move beyond the slums and become anything they want to be in life, really.
But because usually, that when you talk about having some of the stars, is usually when you have music, the music industry, and then you're going to be having artists performing, or usually sports. So it's just a good one to see that this is happening, and it doesn't happen at a time where there's a special occasion. So yes, it's great. It looked like
it's a good one, Patrice Evra, and I'm glad that the children are actually channeling positive energies into something very productive, chess and all of that. Because if you know what Oshodi or Oshodi Underbridge is associated with, it's always about the negative stories, the hoodlums attacks, and of course all of the vices that come out of there. But over time, we've been getting to hear and see, wonderful, bright, inspiring stories coming out from Oshodi, and indeed the slums, and it is something very, 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 very cheering. Yeah. Yeah, so good luck to all of that, to all of them at Oshodi. We'll move away from that. Now, another story that is trending. The governor of Rivers State is still in the news. Yesterday, he was in a video where he supposedly, made his intention to run, although it's actually been argued whether he actually said he, wants to contest. But then again, he says something, and I quote, give me your vote, give me your vote. Mercy, a lot of people are actually indicating interest. A lot of people say they want to salvage the soul of Nigeria, and they feel that they need to deliver Nigeria out of the doldrums. They said the APC has placed, Nigerians Thank you.
So with the issue of anyone, when I mean anyone, including Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State declaring his intention, whether that's an argument, whether he really declared his intention, is the fact that everybody has a right, as long as it's within the, Constitution, you're acting within the stipulated, conditions that are put out. You're not a criminal, and that can be proven and what have you, even though that's also a conversation for another day, right? But everyone has a right to declare, say, hey, I want to become you have a right to vote and be voted for. That's how the Constitution puts it. So yes, if Governor Nyesom Wike decides to, declare his intention to become president, he's acting within his constitutional right, and that's he calls, it doesn't really call for any kind of buzz, because you can also say, hey, I want to become president.
I've told you before. I told you were going to campaign for me, but you said you're not partisan.
Okay, so moving away from that, I practically listened to that. So I think it was within, because listening to that conversation that transpired, he was in Benue State, Makadi to be precise, for whatever the event was. And he was asked a question. What will you do differently to change, the narrative in the country? This is paraphrasing, because you have been challenging and being very critical of the things that are going. And that's when he mentioned the fact that, this is what it is, but he's declaring to become a president of Nigeria. And he's doing this in this state because he has a relationship, with Benue people, or with the state. And then that's when he stated that. So in the bid to actually answer a question is when he said it. And he said it's the first time he's making, this statement, or making such intention. It's something that he has been nursing in his mind, and he's been hearing a lot of, rumors and all of that. But he was saying it, for the very first time in Benue State. So I'm hoping if that's something to go by. I know that it's not doctored. I listened to that voice a couple of times, and I can really tell that, you must be a fantastic mimicker to want to mimic Nyesom Wike. He has a unique voice, and so you can hear him say that again and again. But so like I said, fingers are crossed. We'll see how all of this, pans out. And prior to this time, let's not forget that we have a lot of people, so many other persons that we have said, are making intentions or have plans of coming in as president. Some people say, oh, they have really not declared, but gradually we're seeing that things are unfolding. But we're here to watch this space and, of course, bring you up to speed with what's making the rounds across board. Who else is going to be declaring his or her intention? It might be Justin, it might be me. Fingers crossed.
All right, that's as much as we can take on top trending. So, all right, well, we need to see more declarations, but we just need to see competent people, people who have pedigree, people who have the interest of Nigeria and Nigerians at heart. Not just someone who just wants to just pay lip service. At the end of the day, nothing to show after he is, declared president. But let's just leave it at that for now. We'll take a quick break and
to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on PlusTvAfrica, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@PlusTvAfrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
in raising our kids. Parents should stop playing God.
The internet is actually using the people.
But when you are looking for money to help other people, then it becomes easy.
Don't rush into marriage. I always say this. You rush in, you rush out.
Family is the bedrock of every society and the essence of life.
On Today with John and Helen, we dig deep into family values in every sense of the word.
Join us every Saturday at 9:15 a.m. on PlusTvAfrica, DSTV channel 408.
With you, we play a part in strengthening the values passed from generation to generation.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he
This is The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. It's time for Off the Press. We have Opunabongo Taria, who's a public affairs analyst. He joins us in no time. Good morning, Opunabongo Taria. It's good to have you join us.
Good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Justin. And good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning to you.
All right, we take a quick look at the Punch newspaper this morning. We'll start off with the Punch, and the attention would be on the top pages or top stories of our national dailies this morning. Looking at the banner caption for the Punch, it says, new National Working Committee, APC inaugurates appeal panel Tuesday, and PDP says Adamu has fraud charges. Co-contestants await refunds. Senate to declare Adamu's seat vacant. Transform APC ahead of 2023 polls, Gbajabia Miller tells the new National Working Committee. Now, PDP mocks ruling party, says new chairman has corruption case. That's for the banner caption on the Punch this morning. You still have more interesting caption here. Another says state government sinks deeper as NNPC plans 328 billion naira deduction in April. January, February fuel subsidy payment hits 430 billion. I mean, that's a lot. You also have federal government's borrowing from CBN rises by 96.54% and hits 18.16 trillion naira. We might probably just be talking figures this morning. And Nigerians spent $39.66 billion on foreign education, medical tourism. This is a report from the Central Bank of Nigeria. And still looking at the Punch, you also have another caption saying, Wike declares presidency bid and knocks Atiku Saraki orders. This is making the rounds. It was also part of our top trending conversation. Lassa fever death hits 123,000 and CDC worries over, the increase of Lassa fever deaths. OAU protests interference in varsity autonomy, says ASU. OAU protests interference in varsity autonomy, says ASU. It's another story. Let's quickly look at this. Airport invasion, stop pampering terrorists. OK State Police, Afeni Ferry tells the federal government. And 2 detained suspects excrete 165 wraps of cocaine. Australia, China-bound drugs seized. These are some of the headlines you find here this morning on the Punch newspaper.
Right away from the Punch, up next is the Nation newspaper. The main story this morning, Buhari is saying APC now set for victory. With a story on the red strip just below that caption, Nikon court orders committal proceedings against the AMCON MD and others above the masthead. Southeast, OK zoning of PDP ticket to the south. With the rider, Wike joins presidential race. All right, just beside that story, how US-based RCCG pastor emerged Song Sanu Nasir begins strike. Those are the stories you can find on the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning.
Away from the Nation, we quickly take a look at the Leadership newspaper. For us, the caption says, President Muhammadu Buhari absolves Adamu, says ex-PDP members in APC have repented. Interesting. 2023 Southeast PDP backs Southern governors on zoning. That's what you find. New APC chairman still face trial over 15 billion naira fraud. That's what the PDP is quoted to say. I will be fair to all as national chairman. Adamu is quoted. Al-Makura Mustafa pledged support for new National Working Committee. You also have Vice Chancellor seek virtual learning in universities. And SEC raises concern over 170 billion naira on claimed dividends. Just before we move away from this, you find federal government committed to a better Nigeria, job creation. The vice president is quoted on this. And Governor of Rivers State, Yesam Wike, declares for president in Makurdi. Governors seek $15 billion investment in Dubai. Really? Okay, experts harp on fiscal discipline to stabilize the Naira. These are some of the headlines you find on the Leadership.
All right, then to the Independent, Daily Independent. Inadequate revenue collection weakens Nigeria's debt profile. Analysts bemoan abnormally high debt service to revenue ratio. Just below the pictorial there, that's the APC National Convention on Saturday, 2022 presidential election. Jonathan gives presidency condition to join APC. Tinubu Group kicks against consensus presidential ticket. More stories on the front page of the Daily Independent. Wike declares to contest for president, vows to tackle insecurity. 2023 election, I'll ask Tinubu to step down for me. Okorocha is quoted on that one. Mobile selling assets without telling us is irresponsible, Akwa Ibom government. On the red strip below, I'm the kind of person Nigeria needs for President, Peter Obi says. Kaduna Airport attack, federal government has conceded sovereignty to terrorists that attributed to the People's Democratic Party, alleges Buhari feedles while Nigeria burns. Renew your faith in APC, Adamu tells party faithful. Assures on reconciliation. Open door administration says APC-led federal government has surpassed previous administrations. Those are all of the stories you can find on the front page of the Daily Independent newspaper.
All right, we're now being joined by Okunabo Nkataria, who's a public affairs analyst. Once again, thank you for joining us, Okunabo Nkataria.
Thank you, Messi.
All right, let's start off with the Punch newspaper this morning. Looking at the top caption, it talks about the new National Working Committee. Of course, the APC had her convention on the 26th of March.
It's in tandem with the electoral act. When you have elections, you have conventions. Of course, you set up panels where as these parties will go to ventilate their delegates. That's why you have their appeal panel. But in this particular case, it's just going to be an academic exercise because you have a consensus candidate. And what the other candidates are asking for is just a reform. They want a reform. A particular candidate said he spent over 300 or 500 million naira campaigning for support. And his body language obviously showed that he wasn't really happy with the decision. It was as if they were coerced into this consensus candidate matter by President Buhari. And it calls to worry. I wonder why Buhari hasn't pension for the electoral. He's always acting at the last minute or belated. If he had told them early enough that, look, I'm going to have a candidate, I'm going to present a candidate to the party, I don't think a lot of them would have gone ahead to campaign. Not when somebody goes around the country campaigning for support, would have spent so much money, and at the last minute you now ask him to step down. That is very unfair, very undemocratic. But what will they do? And this will cause some level of disaffection. Those that are disillusioned will definitely either play anti-party or leave the party for another party, because they are really, really not happy that not just because of Adamu, but because of this process, the way he met, the last minute imposition. It's more or less an imposition. The last minute imposition of Adamu on the party. A lot of people are definitely not happy with it, and this might cause some level of schism in the party. I see a lot of them defecting in the next couple of weeks, or a lot of them playing anti-party. Then on the issue of the charges, fraud charges, well, these are indictments, but is only found guilty when a court of law pronounces him guilty. For now, there are mere indictments, there are mere charges. Have they been substantiated? That's another issue. But the APC is seized of all these facts and would have taken under advisement these facts and other variables before presenting as that. Probably he has this unique selling proposition. He has this ability in their thinking. Anyway, I don't know how true that is. I cannot attest to the veracity of that. But probably they have this belief that Adamu has what it takes to navigate the party to success in the 2023 election. It was probably based on that conclusion. Otherwise, the party is seized of all these allegations and many more that we'll be hearing very soon, because they are now emerged.
All right, I don't want us to dwell on that ABC, because we will delve into it much later on the show. But let's talk about other issues that sprung up on the Punch newspaper, or other stories as it is. You know, what are your thoughts concerning the Rivers State Governor's intention? You know, the Punch captions it this way: Wike declares presidency bid, knocks Atiku, Saraki, and others.
Well, why will you ask me that question, smiling just? Should Wike be allowed to be president of this country? I'll tell you no, and it is sounding one.
Why no?
I want to explain because he's been a governor for about 7 years, and his rule is draconian. You know, for you to be a president, there must be some level of decorum in your speech, in your conduct, and whatever you do. It takes a lot to be a leader. A man that is in pressure to criticism. My dear brother, I can tell you that one day, PlusTV might be a victim. He will shut it down. If you criticize him, he will shut it down. Really, Rivers State was invaded by his cronies because they were making some statements that they felt were adverse to his how would I put it, interest, so to speak. So, if you talk of a man, he doesn't have that charisma, he doesn't have that candor to be the president of this country. If a Buhari, who was the military head of state, could contain, could brook certain excesses, if a Jonathan could, my dear Wike emerges, my dear brother, I have told you, you might probably be one of the first victims. And I don't think we have one.
No, but at this point in time, you know, with the issue, because usually you have a lot of people saying, you know, the electorate would be the one to decide. And so all of that, this issue of food. So there's this report saying that bread prices may go up. And for those who are actually a great fan, or, I mean, who really enjoy eating bread, it might just be difficult for them now, because the bakers are lamenting that forex and energy issues are really affecting. And so the cost of bread might just be on the high. I wonder how much a loaf of bread would actually go for at this point in time.
So what is the question? Because it's normal, the prices of things go up every day in this country. So I don't know why that should make any headline. Yes, bread is, I think the big loaf is about 700 naira now. I strongly believe that before Buhari leaves office, in 2023, a loaf of bread will cost about 2,000 naira. If it doesn't, I'll be very much surprised.
So the question. So the question here is the issue.
Run a rudderless government, a government that does not even know how to address the economy in terms of economic security or what has been to the plight of Nigeria. It's no longer economy. That is what is going to happen. So let us just endure and pray that we are going to have a leader that will be there in the image of Nigeria, that will be responsible and responsive.
All right, let's move away from the Punch newspaper. There's some very interesting stories.
Mercy, I'm very sorry. I know you love bread. Sorry.
No, I don't.
Unfortunately. Oh, you don't? Okay.
There are very interesting stories on the Daily Independent, lots of them making headlines. Inadequate revenue collection weakens Nigeria's debt profile. Another interesting one there, 2023 presidential election. Let's talk about that one. Jonathan gives presidency condition to join APC. How do you reason that, Opunabo?
I sincerely don't know, Jonathan. For now, one is informed something like, well, I'm still thinking. I'm talking about the Baptist State governor of this state to declare his intention, you know. So I believe right now that Jonathan is still eyeing the presidency. He still wants to go back to Africa, but does not really know how to go about it. That is my conviction right now. And now he's giving APC conditions. What are the conditions? Probably he wants to emerge as a consensus candidate as well. He doesn't want a situation where he will be biased for the primaries. And so if you say I should come and be the presidential candidate of the party, then I don't need any other competitor. I want to be the sole candidate. I think that is the kind of arrangement they have. I can't say for fact what it is, but I think that's the kind of arrangement they have. And I believe that is a condition is also given to Mr. President, because they say it's Mr. President that is actually making this overture to Jonathan. And not because they love Jonathan. No, not really. It's simply because they want the South to continue, Jonathan to continue the tenure of the South and let it go back to the North. Not that they love it, not at all.
Let us do some permutation right now. What do you really see happen if we have like a Jonathan presidency come 2023?
What will happen in terms of if he emerges as president or if he's contested, which is it?
If he emerges as a candidate, and what are the likelihood that there'll be some level of acceptance, and what will his presidency mean eventually, even if he does win?
Well, if he emerges as a candidate, probably the North will use its numerical strength for its own selfish reasons to ensure that he wins the general election, so that after 4 years, it will revert to the North. It's only on that premise that the North will support him, not that they love him. And of course, because it's a South-South man, it also gets to get the sympathy of those from the South-South. Although a lot of us are not really happy with him, because in years as president, 6 years or thereabout, we really never benefited anything from Goodluck Jonathan. That much he admitted when he visited River State and apologized that he did nothing for the South-South. So a lot of us will have some misgivings, will have some doubts as to his level of performance. But he promised then that if re-elected, he was going to perform. But I believe if Jonathan emerges, there is a possibility of him emerging as the president of the country is quite high. He will have a better chance because the North will throw its weight behind it. When I mean the North, I mean the APC people and most of the people in PDP that will still defect to the APC will also do so. Because a lot of them will defect to the APC. I can tell you that once they lose out on their presidential bid. Then if Jonathan emerges as president, my dear, to score Jonathan, I'll just say 50-60%. Score Buhari 10%. Jonathan 50%. So you can do the thinking yourself, what 50% means. It's definitely not going to be the economy. Never, it's not going to be the economy. Just 50%. Trying to study the economy has been so damaged. Even while he was there, yeah, we agree, the economy was far much better than what it was now. But it would have been a lot better than it was when it was there. That's the truth about it. So if he gets back to Aso with his level of experience and so on, let's say about 50%, and whoever will succeed it will take it to about 80, the 70-80%. Of course, you cannot have all.
Okay, just before we move away from the Punch now, as we coast the conversation down, it's a report from the Central Bank of Nigeria, that's the CBN, saying that Nigeria spends $39.66 billion on foreign education and medical tourism. How do we get these monies to remain in our country?
It's simple. It's simple. Prudence. Prudence in terms of fiscal management, wisdom. But then, for example, how do you expect, if the president himself, that is going to lead by example, is constantly in UK on medical treatment? Well, how do you expect other members? Then you have the National Assembly member, you have the ministers, you have the governors, you have the commissioners, you have the advisors, you have the local government chairmen, and so on. So what do you expect? That's the capital of life. In terms of education, well, unless for those who have scholarship, state scholarship, so to speak, the bulk of the sum comes from private individuals. They send their kids abroad, and it boils down to bad government. Why? If I was going to look at now Swiss on strike, I remember telling my daughter out, why did I do that? Our mates that got into the university with her are still in their third year, second year, thereabouts, she's been called back. How sad is that? It's not as if Oklahoma has the money. You don't know what I went through to do that. But I just had to do that. Because at the end of the day, you're frustrating the students, they're spending more. Those that are here keep renewing their house rent, those that are off campus, they renew the house rent, they pay for them. It's frustrating. So in terms of education, they have to put the educational sector right. When I went to school in Nigeria, my first degree was in Nigeria. Yes, we had strikes then, because it was in the early 90s, in the 80s and early 90s. We had the strikes then, but it wasn't as bad as it is right now. And our leaders are not bothered at all, because they have the money, even if it's 100,000 naira to $1, they will pay. They have it. Even if it's 500,000 naira to $1, all they do is increase on their skill, stealing skill. It's as simple as that. If they are stealing with red biro, they steal with green biro now. If the green biro fails, they steal with brown biro. If it fails, they steal with blue gold biro. It's something like that. So they are not bothered. So they are not interested in the educational system. Otherwise, what does it take to address the issues that ASU have raised? Nothing. We are talking of ASU, you're giving how many millions of dollars to, is it Afghanistan or whatever country? That is ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. But no one is saying you don't have the money to address the ASU challenge. That's completely unacceptable. Whatever, it was the first lady who said that they don't even have needles in ASU Rock hospital, clinic. And every year, money is budgeted. What are they doing with the money? It's boils down to corruption. And at the end of the day, the boss comes at the president's table. He looks the other way. Why they feel the treasury dry? He cannot absorb it. The people say the man is not corrupt, his lieutenants are corrupt. If the head is rotten, the body will be rotten. He takes the credit. If the economy is good, he takes the credit. If it's bad, he takes the blame. So he cannot extricate himself for whatever it is. So it boils down to synopsis, it boils down to bad leadership. We must put our health sector right, we must put our educational sector right, and to a very large extent, that will reduce the tourism we are talking about.
All right, Opunabo, let's slide to the Nation newspaper now. This issue of zoning is still resounding. The way it's captioned here, Southeast OK zoning of PDP ticket to the South. What are your thoughts, really, Opunabo?
I don't understand when they say Southeast. Is it to the South? I feel that because you still have a lot of people from the Southeast contesting. I want the PDP, I don't know if that's a statement from the PDP or if it's a conjecture. But the Southeast is clamoring that it is installed, and rightly too. Because from 1999 to date, it is just one zone that has not produced the president. So rightly too. But I don't know if it will be fed to the South side. I strongly doubt that. But let's watch and see. I don't really have the facts, and I will not want to pontificate on that.
All right, then. We still go back to the Punch newspaper, and that's because there's a lot of interesting headlines this morning on the Punch. It says state government sinks deeper as NNPC plans 328 billion naira deductions in April. There's a lot of trouble.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that.
So I'll take that again. It says state governments sink deeper as NNPC plans 328 billion naira deductions in April.
You know, we have states that do not generate funds. They depend on federal allocation. And this federal allocation, definitely the bulk of it comes from NNPC. And so when NNPC, the truth about it is that they are worried. And they are worried because the IGR in most states is laughable. Not because it cannot be increased. It can, but just in inertia, in dole. The governors are not bothered. At the end of the day, they are going to get, at the end of the month, they are going to get money from the federal government, and that is enough. They don't even pay salaries. There is no development so far in their state. So, if NNPC, for example, the state gets about 2 billion naira every month, and NNPC decides to make such huge deduction, that state might get about 500 million naira. So that's just enough for the government to steal. Not enough to do another project. Just for the government to steal. That's all.
You know, some states can be allowed to harness the natural resources in their state and also generate revenue without having to be dependent, you know, on the revenue that accrues from, you know, oil.
I agree with you, Mercy. I completely agree with you. It's actually a principle in the presidential system of government where you have the centripetal system. What you operate right now is the centripetal system from top to bottom. That is wrong. It ought to be from bottom to top, you know. And that is what a lot of us clamored for. And we've been clamoring for years. I remember as far back as 2002, 2003, on Kakaki, the sister station, for close to about 4 or 5 years. You know, it was one major issue we carried on our heads, the president of the South. But then the federal government will not agree. Are we actually practicing presidential system of government? We are not. We are practicing quasi-presidential system of government. Because the presidential units have to be quasi-autonomous. And they have to control their resources and pay money, taxes to the center. That is how it is done anywhere in the world. That is the acceptable standard. But yeah, no. And that is because the Constitution was handed over to us by the military, the dictator, and that mindset, that thinking. You know, if you remember this land use decree, it was brought by, suggested by the former president of Africa when he was a military head of state. So we inherited most of this law. Unfortunately, our legislators, I don't know why they have failed to address this issue. But you know why they will not address the issue? I will tell you. Because right now, the nation depends on oil. And the oil comes from the south. And the numerical strength belongs to the north. The north is a major beneficiary of this oil revenue. So they will definitely kick against it. We don't have the numerical strength, even though that so-called numerical is fraudulent. I doubt it. But we don't have it because you go to both parts in the north, you have one tree here, you have one house here, the next house is 100 miles away, and all the flowers and trees and grasses. But let's leave that for another day. So I doubt the numerical strength. But based on that, because the allocation of formula is also partly premised on it. So they will not agree. Otherwise, we ought to control our resources and pay taxes to the center. That is how it is done, even in the United States of America, which is the natural place of modern-day presidential system of government or democracy.
All right, Soponabo, before we let you go, let's talk about the invasion that happened, concerning that particular attack at the Kaduna airport, and how do you really think that could actually be restored?
It's a sad development. Our president is on a long sojourn in the land of condom and indiscretion. I can tell you the man is not bothered. He's tired. He's not even interested. We've been treating these criminals with kid gloves. For us to even rebel for this Boko Haram terrorist or whatever, it took how many years? This is Mr. One President, even before he was come back into the society to get more funds and also initiate things. It's a sad development. The federal government, I must be honest with you, in terms of terrorism, the federal government has failed woefully. And not because it doesn't know what to do. Okay, look at Buratai, for example. The present service chiefs set for prosecution. How do you expect such a government to fight corruption sincerely? It's not possible. It's not possible. They are treating people with people because they are from the north, and the man is from the north. It's as simple as that. But I want a general. He promised he was going to end terrorism within 6 months. We are talking of 7 years. What has happened? Nothing. So the problem is with Mr. President. Don't blame the service chiefs. What are you going to blame them for? It is one thing that if, for example, Buratai and his wife had been punished, it will have served as a deterrent. It will have served as Buratai time was a complete disaster. The federal service chiefs are even better. That time was a complete disaster. And they rewarded with a pastoral appointment. What a shame. We are going to continue to have this problem until this man leaves up. Then I think a new president who is sincere, who is there, who is going to be an image of Nigeria, who will oath to protect life and property sincerely, will come and address this issue. I don't think President Buhari will forever contain this, but because he's complicit.
All right. All right, thank you so much, Opunabo Inko-Taria, for your time and indeed all of the input you have brought to those stories that we analyzed on the front pages. Opunabo Inko-Taria is a public affairs analyst and he joined us live from Abuja. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay. Thank you, Opunabo, for being part of the show. We appreciate it.
All right, we'll take a break from that. We'll go back this day in history and see what happened. And when we come back, we'll be doing our first set of conversations. Stay with us.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
He suffered equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 when they pay.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer choice.
Hello and welcome to
Stays.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to
on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Welcome back. It's still The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa, and we are starting with our first conversation for the day. Now, after days of negotiations and disagreements, the preferred candidate of President Muhammad Buhari for the position of the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, was ratified as the new party chairman late Saturday night. The ratification of Adamu and other members of the incoming National Working Committee and zonal leaders of the party was part of activities at the convention of the party, which commenced on Saturday and ended in the early hours of Sunday at the Eagle Square, Abuja. Now, joining us now to discuss the aftermath of this and the future and chances of the party, we expect Njidi Johnson to join us much later, but we have Ibrahim Oshinawa, a Secretary of Medical and Risk APC Convention Planning.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me again. I don't have times of, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, I was just going to ask you how successful as you have put it now, because it's been days, months, or even more than a year of issues with the APC, and finally March 26 came and the convention held. But would you really say that all the internal wranglings have been put under control with this particular convention? Would you say that it is uhuru for the All Progressives Congress yet?
I will quickly say that you should try and get the script of the national chairman, his acceptance speech. He did mention that we would like press to work with us, One, there's no rancor in our party again. The convention has been done and dusted. We have moved forward. There is nothing to discuss about, issues here and there. He called on the Nigerian media to report what is going on in the party, to find out what is going on. We employ media, Nigerian media especially, to place, get to the secretariat and get the direct information. Our party is one. We are one now. It's not easy to have, with the 2020 electoral law, it's not easy to have, a consensus. And the national chairman has started on a solid rock. So we are moving forward, extremely moving forward. So that's what I see. So there's no issue in our party. We are forging ahead.
All right, thanks for the opening salvo. But we'll come back to the APC and then the way forward. But
co-panelist, Soshino,
nice to see you.
All right, merci.
Yeah.
Okay, so Njidi Johnson, it's good to have you join us this morning on the show.
Well, merci, it's a pleasure to be with you.
So let's take it off from this point. We remember the time where the issue, we remember a time where the issue was with Section 82, subsection 3 of the Electoral Act, and also Section 84, subsection 9 of the Electoral Act, talking about stipulating written consent of all candidates. I mean, if you get to a point where you say there should be a consensus, and we saw all of the signatures that were put out there. Do you still see anyone being disgruntled or any defection after this time out?
Well, it's too early for us to say that, but time will tell. This is just the first of the litmus tests that the party will face. The litmus test comes with the primaries for selection of candidates for various offices across the nation for 2022 election. It was evidently clear, like Mr. Shinawa said, it's looking at the provisions of the Electoral Act, and its APC, to its credit, that has applied the Electoral Act in its convention. That was said this Saturday. So when you look at the stringent provisions for consensus agreement, you see that for the National Chairman Office, there was a letter written on behalf of other aspirants by Senator George Akume. Whereas for the National Secretary position, we saw people coming to the platform to say, for example, the former Minister of Barrister Shitu from some many party members, because the consensus arrangement was not consensus arrangement means consent. It was not consulted. There was no discussion with respect to that. But this is just the embryonic stage. It was successful in the sense that after almost 2.5 years, APC was able to have an elected leadership at the party level. But when we talk in terms of the organization overall, I'm not too sure that they will be happy with the general aesthetics of the convention, because we are told when they are watching in terms of the logistics, in terms of the arrangement, in terms of the timing. I think that they can do better, and I'm sure they will have learned their lessons from what we witnessed on Saturday till Sunday morning.
All right, Mr. Shinawa, now let's still talk about, Jide just mentioned about the aesthetics of the party now, but I just want to find out.
Fortunately, from other candidates, willingly, complying with the Electoral Act, voluntarily withdrawing from the elections. And some of them, where we have a consensus candidate, of course, letter must be written. So it's a perfect convention, and there's no perfect election anywhere in the world. A lot of people, independent media have rated our own convention, far higher than the one of PDP. So we thank God for that. So, anybody feeling, the convention is somehow, we have conducted a very successful and, peaceful convention. You can see no walkout, no nothing. On Saturday, I was still at 5 a.m. we were still on field. Some contentious issues like people who want to contest the best convention ever in this country, and we'll continue to forge ahead. We won't look at all the naysayers, all the hula baloo from anybody. So we want to forge ahead, and we've done that. We thank God all our officers have been sworn in. Some of them will resume office today under the leadership of Governor Abdullahi Adamu. If you remember, we'll discuss about Senator Abdullahi Adamu. He's one of the credible leaders of our party. Party administration is different from governance. So it requires a lot of political history, wisdom, and sometimes, wealth of experience to manage different diversity within a larger party like ours. So there's I want us to focus on, the future. You don't hear or look at people saying this is not right, this is the, so we have to move ahead. That has been taken over, off our table. So convention is gone, and we are looking for the next 4 years to conduct another one. So we are good to go on our promise.
Well, but let's also look at some of the concerns. I mean, this is the ruling party that you're talking about, and I'm sure that's why Nigerians are very concerned. And of course, the conversation would continue to go on. Just before we bring in Jide Johnson, a strong issue that the PDP has actually raised concern is that The PDP has said that the Damu, that's the chairman, has fraud issues. And of course, we know that for sure fraud charges that's been put out, especially by this government, looking at the sum of 14 billion naira, 15, some quarters would say. So how does your party intend to, manage all of this, and how do you react to this?
You know what? Anybody can distinguish Senator Ucheo, I don't remember his name, the PDP national chairman. He was a senator. He had a case with him when he was a senator. When he was a BOT chairman of PDP in 2003. These are allegations, and these are, they call it prognosing in local language. Why can't he face, the Atiku issue, the Tamboa issue, the Saraki, and the rest of them? Yesterday, their money bag, Wiki just declared that he's running for election, and he's going to bench all of them in their 70s. Why can't he face that? Why is he looking into a successful party like us, a man that, has led a very successful state like Nasarawa, is a senator, is the chairman of our reconciliation committee? Why is he looking at that?
Maybe the reason that he's looking at that is because for a party as the APC, which is a ruling party, and on the premise that, the party has been looked at, you talk about the issue of integrity and credibility. And so for a political party, and if the president is going to have a consensus candidate, and if the party would be having any candidate, wouldn't it be good to have anyone not having any of the skirmishes or, fraud issue allegation on the side? You have someone, for the status of the party, as one would say. Maybe it's on that premise that this issue has been put out.
These are allegations. I'm going to pick from your words. I'm a student of English, and I will continue to learn English, despite the fact that it's not my mother tongue. Allegations. Anybody can say, Dr. Oshinowo, you stole this car, you take me to court. You have to prove it in court, beyond reasonable doubt. If you are saying 13 billion, 50 billion, 100 billion, you take it to court and prove it. They can also petition. I think the man is right now, he doesn't have something to do that's very tangible. That's why he's prognosing. He's unable to even resolve Edo State issue, just Edo State here. He's unable to curtail Wiki, who is funding his party, who is disrespecting all the others of the party, talking to everybody as if his father is the owner of the party. I mean the governor of Rivers State, His Excellency. So he should face all those things, all those inch in his party. You said allegation. Why would I discuss allegation? If you fire Adamu, if a competent competent jurisdiction find Senator Adamu guilty, then we can discuss it. Right now, these are allegations.
And for the image, everyone is looking at the image of the party, and one will wonder that the APC would rather go for
the image has nothing to do. It's a mere allegation. Most of them in the PDP has one or two cases, and we are going to follow the law to treat their cases independently. So it does not. I will advise that we should focus on the leadership, on the progress of our party. All those jobless people in the PDP looking at, somebody alleged that they stole this.
Well, let's bring in Jide Johnson. Let's bring in Jide Johnson. He's still on standby. Jide Johnson, how would you react to this issue? The issue of fraud has been alleged. You have the PDP saying, hey, this is it. You have the national chairman, a consensus candidate of the APC. With
can be assessed with my view to respect to APC fighting corruption. It's deception of the highest order. I've said this as far back as 2015, that it's deception of the highest order that the APC to be saying to fight corruption. One. Then two, for people to try to distinguish between PDP and APC. I've also said it's deception of the highest order that we have chameleonic political parties, because there's no difference between PDP and APC. The interesting thing is that the political class don't care about us. All they care about is for political power. If you look at the history and the antecedent of the actors and players in APC today, the majority of them were in PDP. And if you look at some of the actors and players in PDP today, some key players were in APC in 2014. So who are they deceiving? They can be deceiving themselves and be playing to the gallery, playing the ostrich, and they can't deceive some of us, and we are like that. So there's No government that is fighting corruption. It's just we fought corruption on the pages of newspaper. I personally have done more than 50 programs that have said APC is not fighting corruption. That Buhari administration is not fighting corruption. So nobody should deceive. You can't fight corruption on the pages of newspaper. You fight corruption of putting in place systemic issues to deal with the issue of corruption. The corruption in NDCC, the corruption in NNPC, there are many corrupt cases that have not seen the light of the day. So don't let us go to that. No party, no political party, either PDP or APC, no political leader should come out and tell us that their party wants to fight corruption. It's not the decision of the highest order. With respect to the antecedent of the national chairman, the national chairman of APC elected by the party is a senator. I hope he will resign. I don't know what I think should be done today is for him to resign his senatorial seat, so that they resign. That should have been the first thing he should do. As elected senator representing Nasarawa West, and he has been elected. What we should see in the media today is that his resignation from being the senator of Nasarawa West. However, I've said it over time, and I said it the last time we spoke about this issue. The parties in Nigeria don't have conventions; they have coronations. I told you on Friday when we had newspaper review that you grab your popcorn and get your soft drink and watch the coronation ceremony. What we have seen, either in PDP or APC from 1999 to date, and that has not helped us to deepen democracy. Whoever the stakeholders, the governors brought Adam to Shemole. They were the major stakeholders. Just like the governors brought Iyocha Ayu for the PDP. So we can't play to the gallery on the basis of partisanship. The reality of the matter is that we have never had a successful convention with partisan politics in Nigeria from 1999 to date from the ruling parties that we have had, either in APC or in PDP. Who was coronated? Secondus was coronated. Iyocha was coronated. So 4 years from now, what we see is that you will see that they will organize conventions and they will call a list, a unity list, where the governors will now allocate positions. We allocate positions to themselves, to their state, and the anointed candidate will be picked as the consensus candidate.
All right, I want to bring in Oshinowa into this discussion right now. A lot of Nigerians are beginning to talk about, the capabilities and, of course, the interest and, of course, what lies ahead of the ABC in the coming days. Specifically, there's a video making the round where it's as though the new APC chairman has some sort of inclination or some sort of bias towards the herdsmen, when specifically he was saying that if spare part dealers can be protected, why not herdsmen? Would you really say that he actually has the interest of all Nigerians at heart in the wake of herdsmen and farmers and killings that we have experienced in the country? Oshinowo.
Of course, I'm privy to the video you are talking about, but let me digress a little bit. A lot of Nigerians have been saying that party politics, especially in APC, are formation of PDP and the rest of it. In the US, if you can go back to the history, I've attended so many conventions of the Democrats since 2003. I think maybe two. I think I missed two. Maybe one. I missed one. If you look at the history of the Republican, the Democrat was amalgamated from the Republicans, half of the Republicans. Some of them that carved out of the Republicans are the ones that formed the Democrat. So it's not a big issue in party politics, because the politics is all about interest. And when you find out that your interest is not protected, your ideals and ideas are not captured, you can extract and form with your team member or with your like-minds and form a political party. And that is what is happening in APC. There's no distinction between what happened within the Democratic and Republicans and what happened. I have never been to PDP all my life. I've been from the SDP to AD, ACN, and the rest. And we have so many like that. who has not, cross-carpeted. But that does not suffice that. Others who are progressive-minded, who find that, okay, now they are born again, like my friend Dino, and come back to APC. And our party, if you say our party has not been fighting corruption, that is not true. You can write to the EFCC and find out cases that have been determined. That's by the side. On the video clip you mentioned, Governor Abdullahi, the distinguished senator, and presently the chairman of our great party, is addressing a particular issue, not generalized. He's a vast Nigerian, lover of Nigerian culture and community. He has relation in the southwest, in the southeast, in the northeast, in the north, both the north and the south. So he's a Nigerian, he's a patriotic man. So he's not casting anybody. Igbos are lovely people. I benefited immensely from Igbo man. Till today, he's one of my icons. He particularly Igbo man from Obosi. And the present minister of Environment, Shaun Ikeazo, has been my family friend for more than 29 years. Even when his younger brother is the MD of a major bank in this country. In fact, most of my Christmas, sometimes I will be in Anambra State. So Governor Abdullahi has friends across the board. So he's not casting anybody else that somehow, if president can protect spare parts seller, why can't he protect the Fulani? The Fulanis are the spare parts sellers and Nigerian, and everybody is under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari. And you're sworn to the Constitution to protect all of us. So, and I believe the president is doing fantastically well on that, protecting all Nigerians. So, Governor Abdullahi, that section of the clip is not the full one. The media just point that out just to, I don't know their aim and objective. They just brought that out to capture some other, negative attraction about him.
Invariably, are you saying that the new APC chairman does not have a bias for?
Sorry?
So are you saying invariably that the new APC chairman does not have a bias for the Fulani herdsmen?
No. He's a father of all. He's just addressing a conventional issue. For instance, I'm a Yoruba man. I'm a proud one. I'm a proud Yoruba man. There is no way issues will happen. And Mr. Jide, who is there, will be there that he won't have at least a little, support from me.
Jide Johnson,
I'm not saying he's addressing or he's giving Fulani man who is carrying AK-47 and head. Any Fulani man carrying AK-47.
Okay, let's allow Mr. Jide Johnson speak for himself. Jide, go ahead.
Now, I think that just backing what Mr. Shina was saying, I think that he was taken out of context, and the media has a role to play to contextualize content. It's important. The narrative was changed because a soundbite was taken out of it. And when you take issues out of context, it alters the narrative. I think the thesis of his argument is government should provide protection for all Nigerians, regardless of their trades and whatever. Even in as much as I don't share some of his views to some certain things, but I think that particular issue was taken out of context. And it is not good for this country. It will fan the embers of division. We must do something that must promote unity and whatever. If government, what he's saying is if government is protecting and taking money to protect the banks, government should also take money. If there's nothing wrong with government taking money to protect this, they are Nigerians as well. And I agree with him. There's nothing
Jide Johnson,
the government from taking money to protect the fishermen. Yes.
Fantastic point you have raised there, and we do appreciate your thoughts on this issue. But as we coast it down, because we're almost out of time, let's look at this now. For the APC convention, as much as there's a lot of clapping and cheering, and the fact that it was a successful one, I'd like you to share your thoughts on the issue if the convention was conducted in line with the Electoral Act. And let's not forget the bone of contention, that came up just before that convention started. Or looking at the Electoral Act as amended 2022, Section 84, that at the time the Pro Act, it respected, the Electoral Act.
I think it's a new act, and there will be some ambiguity with respect to its application. I'm sure what the legal teams of APC will be doing is to see whether they comply totally But I can tell you from what we witnessed and from what we have read from the letters of the law and not the spirit of the law in this contest now, which is left for the judiciary, the lawyers to interpret, is that APC has complied to a great extent with respect to it. And you know, I started on the note that the national chairman needs to resign his appointment as his election as the senator representing Nasarawa West. Above all, my final take on this is that it is the death of progressive politics in Nigeria. Mr. Oshinawa that is there, and my brothers, my kith and kin that are from the Southwest, that have the progressive ideology, they just witnessed their death knell. They've been nailed to the coffin. There's no platform for them in APC. And I'm sure, I'm sure most of them will not run the election on the APC platform. Probably they will go back to SDP and run the election. Because
Mr. Jide, are you a prophet?
You know, it's clear that the ultra-conservative element has taken over a house that was built by the progressive element of Nigerian politics to have an all-inclusive party that have everybody. But APC is no longer, from what we witnessed, as a strategic communication expert and as someone that has an understanding of the political landscape, is the death of the progressive ideology.
Okay,
Can I quickly comment?
Very quickly as we round off.
Let me quickly say this. You know, party formation. I agree with you because a lot of people we are discussing what you raised almost around 3 a.m. yes this morning. And first, I will first of all appreciate Mercy for accepting that we have done a very good and credible election in compliance with the law. Number two, Mr. Jide, I share your view, but I am not really in compliance with that view. Don't forget that the party is run by two major forces, the national secretary and the national chairman. And if you look at, Senator Mishore, who is a sound-minded person who is now leading the administration of our party, there is no way any agenda that ultravies to the ideal of the progressive will be erased totally. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So let's cross our fingers. I believe the chairman is a fantastic man. He is a father of all. And
Omishore is not of the progressive ideology, he's not.
Omishore, don't forget, is a founding member of the AD in the Southwest. Don't forget that. A lot of people does not know. A lot of things that I'm sure you know that.
At this point, gentlemen, we have to let you go at this point. But quickly, at this point, the national leadership, the youth leader, the women leader, and everyone that had the whole consensus. How's it put again? The consensus list given, the unity list that led them to becoming the candidate. Is this the best? All of these candidates, this the best that the party can come up with? Just in a few seconds, please.
We have some elective positions that we have a consensus arrangement in compliance with the 2020 electoral law. So we have nothing to worry. We've concluded that in compliance with the extant law of this country, some of the governors, some of the elected commissioners, ministers are not allowed to vote at the convention. It means that we have complied diligently. Nobody, commissioners are just spectators. Some of them are in their hotel rooms. Ministers are not allowed to vote.
Okay.
You can imagine that. So
Jide Johnson.
All right, Jide Johnson. One final word from you right now would be, what are the tasks ahead of Adamu, to ensure that the party stay united, and of course they face, the issue of maybe trying to control the machinery of government again in 2023.
The unity of the unity list will be tested with the primaries. So just grab your popcorn and your ice cream and be ready to observe what happens with the primaries, which you soon start in earnest.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much.
Myself and Mr. Oshinawa can come back, and then we have. All right, you're welcome.
All right,
thank you, guys.
We've had Ibrahim Oshinawa and of course Jide Johnson join us as we look at the APC.
can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need.
Hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
It's still The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Welcome. And we head straight to our second conversation. We look at the issue of zoning and who should become president of Nigeria come 2023. Now with President Muhammad as president, in the midst of all of this, there's also a growing support for the selection of Nigeria's next president to come from the south, north, west, east. And so joining us this morning is a political scientist. All things being equal, we have Dr. McFarland join us, but we do have Austin Ejesar on standby. It's good to have you join us this morning. Good morning, Austin.
Thank you for having me. Good morning to you.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
Morning to you.
All right, thank you so much. So let's get straight to this conversation. The issue of zoning and the issue of competence is a strong one. As much as a lot of persons have argued that zoning would not allow for, it would disenfranchise or would just not allow a lot of Nigerians, to aspire to become president. And so it disqualifies them or does not allow them that space. And some people say this is not a democratic practice. But you want to agree with me that zoning has been going on for a very long time in this country. And, so it gets to this particular point now. The question is still ongoing, whether it should go to the south or to the north or to the southwest or the southeast. Your thoughts. Do you think that zoning is the solution? We should choose that as against competent?
In Nigeria, that cannot produce competent people, just so that there can be a great, balance of power and, the development can also spread across the nation, properly. You find that, it's lopsided. You find that there's dominance in, the whole equation. So even though zoning is not a constitutional discussion in terms of being embedded in our constitution, we know that zoning, like you said, has been going on as gentleman's agreement in the past, and we think that it's a good thing, if there will be respect for that agreement, that silent, unwritten agreement, so that there won't be too much rancor and acrimony, so that there will be great spread and balance of power, so that it can be as rotational as possible. But in zoning, let there be competence, not just that because we said it should be zoned to zone A or B, just go bring just about anybody and say, come be our president. The office of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is a very serious job, especially in these times when we are at our all-time lowest point in the history of Nigeria. So we want to talk about, competence in zoning, not just zoning over competence.
I get all that you've said, Austin, competence in zoning and not just an outright zoning. But when do we as a country get to the point where it's not about whether you're an Igbo man or whether you're a Yoruba man, a Hausa man, or from the South or even the North Central? When will it be about someone who has the interest of the nation at heart, someone who has the pedigree, someone who just wants to see the nation develop, the nation grow? Do you think we can ever come to that point when it will be about let the best man rule?
Well, I think that's a discussion for the future. But at this time, we do know that we are not at that mature state yet. There's a whole lot of religious, a whole lot of tribal, a whole lot of ethnic sentiments going on. So we allow this to continue, Nigeria is going to be worse for it. So until we get to the point where we are mature enough to say, look, as a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you are not from one particular zone of the country. You are, as it were, a product of every part of Nigeria. Every part owns you. You are a public property, as it were, and therefore you should give equal representation and equal leadership and equal opportunities to every part of this country, including Nigerians who are in the diaspora, because you represent us all and not where you come from necessarily. But at this point, I am afraid we are not at that maturity stage yet.
So, but you understand that this issue of zoning does not happen out of the space. It has to happen, we're talking about political parties here. And so in the case where you have, a political party, different political parties as it were, but of course we know we have two dominant parties, that's what it looks like, and that's what it is, by the records that we have. So, but do you think that these political parties also should be having this conversation as regards zoning? Because, for instance, now, let's take for an example, the elections, the convention that just finished, and we see the... Austin?
Well, politics is about discussions. Politics is about negotiation. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead
Great.
with your
So
thoughts.
I was saying that politics is about discussion. Politics is about negotiations. Politics is about sitting down at the round table and having an agreement and having some kind of referendum, some kind of, a point of meeting. Otherwise they will just continue to be rancor. Look at how long it took the APC, for instance, to get done with this convention. There's all manners of internal, issues in all in the major two parties of the country, and that's because they're not talking and they're not able to come to agreement. But if there is a gentleman's agreement to say, look, these are the cards on the table, and these are how we're going to deal them to everybody, to make sure that as much as possible we get close to representing everybody's interest as we can, and then the country can move forward. There can be progress or development in the face of rancor, in the face of anarchy. So the first thing we want to do is to make sure that there is peace, there's understanding, there is calm in the polity, and then we can begin to think and put the round pegs in the round hole. But the country right now does not have that, proper balance and spread of power. And that's the agitation. We are saying that there is no, even the minorities can have a very competent person. Nigerians are very intelligent, and, highly resourceful people. So actually we can find competent people just about everywhere.
You've talked about agreement, politics being about agreement. But how far do you go about agreements within agreements? Let me paint a scenario here right now. For instance, there's a talk of zoning with the People's Democratic Party. Let's say, for instance, now there is an agreement that it should be zones to the southeast geopolitical zone. Don't you think other issues might come out? Should it be from Imo State? Shouldn't it be from Abia State or from Enugu State or from Anambra State? Just how far can you go with these agreements?
Well, I mean, it's a continuous process, isn't it? The major thing is, what we call the macro zoning, if you like. And then within the southeast, for instance, they can now begin to say, look, let us also microzone this, further. Let it not be Enugu State, let it be Imo State, let it not be Imo State, let it be Abia State. That's their discussion.
Okay, Austin, are you still there?
That's not what Nigerians are interested in. But what we are saying is, if the southeast have been given a slot, let them produce someone for us, or let them produce. Hello? Oh, are you still there?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
So because I'm thinking that it's a very valid point.
Yes,
so it's a very valid point that you have raised. I mean, it sounds very brilliant if you ask me, that we can achieve zoning and competence at the same time. Because you say that you do not believe in just zoning. I mean, you will never choose zoning over competence. Competence any day is what we're talking about. But I think that it's almost impossible to achieve that in a system where you understand that even at the political system or at the political party level, you would always have interest. I mean, within the party level, at the party structure, you have people who have interest. And sometimes the interest is not necessarily, the interest of some of these persons at the party level does not necessarily reflect the interest of the nation or even the interest of the party. At the end of the day, so it's the interest of the individual or those who call the shots at the party level. So I think that it might just be almost impossible to achieve, competence and zoning at the same time, not because we don't have brilliant people or intelligent persons in different parts of the country, but because you have a system where, all of this has to happen within a political party and, you have a party structure. And because of the way the party is structured in Nigeria, where you still have some governors, you still have, people calling the shots of these political parties. And so there's no democracy at the party level. So all of this cannot even, I don't see this happening. Anyway.
Well, that is the irony of the Nigerian political situation. I have been involved in an election before as a person, and I know that, in all humility and modesty, I was more competent than the gentleman who eventually emerged. And the same discussion of party supremacy played out. So I would agree, while I would agree with you that it is difficult, the world is difficult and not impossible. It is difficult to get absolute competence, in whether it's zoning or not zoning in Nigeria's system of politics. But, we will get there. I believe that we'll get there. We'll continue to have this discussion. We'll continue to drive it home and buttress that even if, the party wants to, impose a candidate on us, let it be someone who is, fairly credible and competent to do the job, for instance. I mean, look at what is happening in Anambra State. Who think that ABGA, pretty much imposed Soludo on, the people of ABGA in Anambra State. But Soludo, in my opinion, is a competent fellow. So, that's something we can take, with two hands open. So if we have party supremacy bringing candidates of competence, then we can live with that. But if we have party, in the name of supremacy, forcing down people down our throats who we know are not competent, are not resourceful, don't have any business occupying those lofty offices. We will continue to resist, we'll continue to have this discussion, and we'll continue to cry out until we get it right as a nation.
All right, thank you so much, Austin Ejesa, for your comments there. Indeed, we need to try to strike a balance between zoning and competence as we head to the polls in 2023. We do appreciate your time on the show this morning.
Very many thanks for having me.
All right, that's the size of the show for today. We must say a very big thank you to all of our guests who have joined to contribute to all of the comments as we move towards credible elections in 2023. My name is Justin Akadonye.
And if you missed out on any part of the conversation, it's all right to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Live.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from PlusTvAfrica.
Good morning, I am Messi Boko. This is the news brief. President Muhammadu Buhari has called on all members of the All Progressive Congress APC to be united and also support the newly sworn-in leadership of the party. The president said these at the Eagle Square, Abuja, venue of the National Convention of the party, where Senator Abdullahi Adamu emerged as the party national chairman through a consensus arrangement. Our reporter completes this story.
While urging members of the party to be strong and united, President Muhammadu Buhari said the convention came at a crucial time when the party was preparing for another round of general election. Also, the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, lauded the founding members
united for the party to exploit the rich abundant potentials at its disposal cannot be overemphasized. We appreciate the right to hold different opinions and aspirations. However, such differences must not be to the detriment of the party.
Over 4 million beneficiaries of our government empowerment and enterprise program, the market money, trader money, farmer money. Our private sector has, despite constraints, continued to do wonders. Only a few days ago, Mr. President commissioned one of the largest fertilizer plants in Africa and one of the largest in the world. And in a few months, the largest single-line refinery in the world will become operational.
Senate President Ahmed Lawal and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, lauded the President for his role in ensuring executive-legislature harmony. They also hailed the President's commitment to the implementation and completion of projects across the 6 geopolitical zones, and particularly the second Niger Bridge in the southeast.
To construct the second Niger Bridge, they broke the ground and they ran away. They came back, broke the ground for the second time and ran away. Never did anything. That time, they were pushed out of office. We promised you only once, and we have almost achieved it. By the grace of God, before the end of this year, Mr. President will go and commission the second Niger Bridge. You should know where your bread is buttered and where your tea will have the milk and the sugar.
All things being equal, we intend to revisit the issue of women inclusion in our constitution students. We must do this because ours is a party of inclusion. This is the promise of the progressive movement, and we have kept the faith. As we have gathered here today from across the regions of our country, representing every religion, tribe, and gender, I urge you, fellow progressives, to adopt this motto of nation building a joint task and act accordingly.
The National Chairman, APC Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, May Malabuni, highlighted the achievements of the Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee.
Let me assure those you whose defections are being challenged in the courts that you have nothing to fear. Your defections did not contravene any law. You will, by the grace of God, be much.
We wish to explain our
sincere appreciation to the leadership and members of the All Progressive Congress for guiding our institution very well of being